However, behind this perfect picture, there are difficulties that no one can guess about. John is often delayed at work, trying to cope with the workload and demands of the learning process. Emily, in turn, feels lonely when he can't give her and the children enough time. Despite this, they try to support each other. Every Friday, they have family parties where they play board games or watch movies. It helps them to come together and remind them that family is everything. One day, in the middle of another family night, Emily decided to talk to John about her feelings. She has revealed to him how much she lacks his attention and support. John, in turn, admitted that he also felt pressure and fatigue, but did not know how to express it. After a frank conversation, they decided to look for solutions together. John started spending time with his family, and Emily began to focus on her hobbies, which helped her feel more satisfied. Their relationship grew stronger every day, and they realized that a perfect life is not an absence of problems, but the ability to deal with them together. John couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Every time he saw Emily go into another room with a phone, his heart stopped. He tried to convince himself that it was just paranoia, but the messages he accidentally saw kept him going. They were short and mysterious, but there was a sense of mystery. One evening, while they were sitting on the sofa, John decided to talk. He gathered all his thoughts and, trying to speak calmly, asked, "Emily, you don't want to tell me who is writing you these messages? I'm just worried about us." Emily said, "These are just friends, John. Don't worry so much. You know I love you." But there was a note of tension in her voice that he could not ignore. John tried to calm down, but his inner voice kept whispering that something was wrong. He began to notice little things. Emily started leaving the room more often when she received messages, and sometimes her face changed when she read something on the screen. It was like a game where he didn't know the rules. Despite Emily's assurances, John decided to conduct his own investigation. He began to pay attention to her habits, to who she communicates with, and even to the time she spends on social media. Every new fact only heated up his suspicions. John's internal conflict has escalated. He didn't want to be the kind of man who doesn't trust his loved one. But his instincts told him that there was something hidden behind this mask of calm. He understood that if he didn't figure out the situation, it could destroy their relationship. But how to know the truth without losing Emily? John stood at the door of his apartment, feeling his heart pounding in his chest. He did not expect this evening to be so fateful for him. Inside there was a laugh that once seemed familiar and cozy, but now cut the ear like a sharp knife. He slowly opened the door and saw Emily sitting on the couch with another man. Their eyes gleamed with joy, and John felt his world begin to crumble. Emily noticed it and froze. Her smile disappeared as if someone had turned off the light. The man sitting next to her quickly got up and left the room without saying a word. John was alone with Emily, and there was a silence in the air full of unbearable heaviness. "John, she started, but he interrupted her. "How could you?" His voice trembled with pain. "I thought we had everything perfect. We made plans, dreamed about the future." Emily lowered her eyes, and John saw the tears begin to gather on her eyelashes. She walked towards him, but he backed away as if her touch might burn him. "I know it's terrible," she said. her voice full of remorse. But I couldn't hide the truth any longer. I got confused in my feelings and met him. It was a mistake. I understand that now. A mistake. John couldn't contain his anger. It's not just a mistake, Emily. It's betrayal. You ruined everything we built together. She tried to approach again, but he didn't allow it. There were happy moments in his head, how they laughed, shared dreams, and made plans for the future. Now all this seemed far and unattainable. I don't know if he'll ever be able to forgive you, he said, feeling his voice come off. The path to John's recovery becomes a true journey of self-knowledge and growth. He first dives into work, trying to distract himself from the pain of breaking up with Emily. However, the more he works, the more he understands that his life is not limited to this loss. Children become a source of joy and inspiration for him. He begins to spend more time with them, participating in their hobbies and games. This helps him not only to strengthen the connection with children, but also to distract from negative thoughts. Gradually, John realizes that the support of friends plays an important role in his recovery. He begins to meet them more often, share his concerns, and get advice. These meetings become for him not only an opportunity to communicate, but also a source of motivation. Returning to sport becomes an important step towards recovery. John begins to run in the morning, which not only improves his physical condition, but also helps clear his mind. He also finds time for his hobbies, drawing and music that once brought him joy. In parallel, he begins writing a book about his experiences. It becomes a therapeutic process for him, allowing him to comprehend his emotions and experiences. The letter helps him not only to understand himself, but also perhaps to inspire others who face similar difficulties. Every day, John opens up new opportunities. He begins to attend courses on topics of his interest, meets new people, and even thinks about trying out new areas of activity. His life is beginning to fill with meaning and new perspectives, and he realizes that there are many interesting things ahead of him. Thus, the path to recovery becomes for John not only a process of overcoming loss, but also an opportunity to rediscover himself and build a life full of new possibilities and joy. In the process of recovery, John meets old friends and acquaintances who remind him of what he was like before Emily's betrayal. These meetings become important moments for him when he begins to realize that his life is not limited to one painful experience. One such person is his old friend Mike, who has always supported John in difficult times. Mike helps him remember how they dreamed of the future together, how important it is to believe in themselves and their strengths. He tells John that mistakes are part of life, and that everyone is entitled to a second chance. John also meets his former teacher, who has inspired him to choose a profession. She reminds him of his talent and how much he can achieve if he doesn't dwell on the past. These conversations become a catalyst for change for John. Gradually, he begins to open new opportunities, enrolls in courses, starts practicing sports, and even meets new people. He understands that happiness does not depend on the actions of others, but is within himself. Eventually, John realizes that Emily's betrayal is not his definition. He decides to let go of the past and start a new chapter in his life, full of hope and possibilities. It becomes for him not only an act of forgiveness, but also a step towards self-acceptance and the inner world. Chapter 12. Light at the end of the tunnel. John stood on the shore of the lake, watching as the sun slowly descended over the horizon, coloring the sky in warm shades of orange and pink. At that moment, he felt his heart fill with hope. After all the hardships and losses he had endured, he finally began to see the light at the end of the tunnel. That evening, a woman approached him. Her name was Lena. She was bright, cheerful, and seemed to radiate warmth. They talked, and John felt an instant understanding between them. Lena talked about her own experiences, how important it is not to be afraid to open up new feelings, even if the past has left scars. Love can be different, she said, looking into his eyes. It can be tender as the morning light or stormy as a storm. But the main thing is the willingness to accept and give. These words hurt John's feelings. He remembered his children, how much they needed him, and that he would always put them first. But he also realized that his own happiness is no less important. He can't be a good father if he's not happy. With each day spent with Lena, John opened up more and more. He began to share his fears and hopes, and in response received support and understanding. Lena did not try to replace his past love. She was just there, helping him see that life goes on and that there are new opportunities ahead. One day, sitting on a bench in the park, John said to Lena, "I'm ready to try. I'm open to new relationships, but my children will always come first. I don't want them to feel abandoned." Lena smiled and took his hand. That's right, John. Love is not only romance, but also care, support, and understanding. You can find a balance between what is important to you and.
At the end of the story, John is sitting on a bench with the children, looking calmly into the sky. This moment symbolizes his inner peace and hope for the future, and also highlights the importance of family ties and the simple pleasures of life. Looking at the sky fills him with thoughts of dreams and possibilities that have yet to be realized.